OL Reign and San Diego have matched up 4 times this season, and OL Reign has won every single one of those matches between Challenge Cup and between regular season play.
This is a tough game to call because we really don't know what Portland team's going to show up.
The next coach who comes in needs to start with just team building.
Matchups are huge, and you just don't know for some reason why some teams just have another team's number.
Welcome back into Straight from the Pitch, joined as always by Scotty Schweitzer. I'm Anna Witte. I hope everyone had a fantastic Halloween. Scotty and I are recording this on Halloween Day. I'm wearing orange. It's like my only orange shirt, so it's my festive way of celebrating the day. But Scotty, do you have any former good Halloween stories, any good costumes, anything happening today to celebrate?
Any good? I don't know. I used to dress up every year and do whatever my daughter was doing, I would do. Like she did Rey from Star Wars, and I got the big Chewbacca.
Yes, I like that.
Chewbacca. But I think when she was real little, and I can never remember, there was a pirate show on Disney, and she used to Jake. I don't know what it was.
I don't know.
But I dressed up as the pirate. She dressed up as the girl pirate. I don't know. I used to always dress and try to surprise her and be like that. But no, she's older now and doesn't hang out and trick or treat with me anymore. So
this is so sad. I know. I just moved into a brand new apartment complex too. I don't think there's any kids here, so I don't think I'm going to be getting any trick or treaters. No Halloween parties for me this year because I've been busy. But I still love Halloween. It's still such a fun holiday to celebrate. So yeah, happy Halloween. I hope everyone's enjoying their candy while listening to our show today. Let's start with the 2023 Ballon d'Or winners. Messi won it. Aitana Bonmati won it. Two of our favorites. Messi got his 8th Ballon d'Or award, and Aitana Bonmati wins Spain's 3rd consecutive Ballon d'Or recipient. It was Alexa Putellas who won it the last 2 years. So 3 years that Spain wins this. And I know this goes back into the conversation during the World Cup, how well Spain has developed their youth, and now we're seeing it on the national scale. What do you think about these two winners? Do you think it was well deserving?
I do. I know it, and I know on the there's more controversy on the men's side just because Haaland, what a great year he had, 52 goals in all competitions and everything. But for me, I think the Ballon d'Or winner should be the best soccer player, and I think these two are the best soccer players last year, and all the achievements they won, especially Messi, who was forever searching for that World Cup. He got the Copa America, he got the World Cup, and I think that the dates just fall maybe in or out or whatever. But it was just an amazing year for Messi and Bonmati, and I just love that they're both great soccer players. And probably if I had to right now, Jude Bellingham maybe, but they're probably the two best soccer players in the world, all around players and how impactful they are. And I think the other thing that's really, really cool, and I was telling Emmy, my daughter, about this, is the MLS has a Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah.
But right now, they've had Ballon d'Or winners play at the end of their careers, but he won it while he was playing in the MLS. That's his uniform. That's who he is. He's an Inter Miami player in the MLS, and he won the Ballon d'Or, and I don't think anybody ever would have thought that was going to happen.
I definitely did not have it on my bingo card. And I think you're right. With Messi winning the World Cup, that was such a huge deal at the end of 2022. You see what he's done in MLS, being electric, really has captured everyone's eyes. It isn't even us here in the States, but people in Europe. I agree. Overall, holistically, what Messi has been able to do in the last 12 months or so, I think he's deserving of that. And Bonmati, and she's insane. She's extremely talented. She's the one player we kept coming back to. The world kept coming back to during the World Cup. She's still a young player. She won the World Cup. She won Liga F. She won Champions League this past year. What else do you want from a Ballon d'Or winner? I really don't think anything else is you need on that list to win it.
Right. Class, after every game, she was class. She was, and we had so much pressure on her, Spain they need her, blah, blah, blah. And she, every time she brought the results. I think she wasn't, I didn't even think that was up for grabs really for anybody else. I thought she ran away with it in my eyes. And then the Messi, like I said, you got Haaland and everything, but just what Messi's done. And I think people don't realize how hard the MLS is to play in. It's a hard league to play in. It's just the physical league. It's got different attributes. It got different styles and different players from different worlds. And I know other places do too, but it's a high pace, like physical game. And I think what he's doing in the MLS, he would do anywhere because we take for granted when you're happy how well you can play. And he just seems that the move to Miami has just given him this energy and this freedom and happiness that he's just good. He's just a joy to watch. I mean, he's doing it still for Argentina in their qualifiers.
Right. No, and also too, I know this doesn't play into being a Ballon d'Or winner, but they're both class acts, right? Like you want to
Right.
see the people who are winning these types of awards in our sport be people that you look up to and people that other people can aspire to be. So congratulations to those two players. Barcelona also won Club of the Year for winning the UWCL champions and or for being UWCL champions and for winning Liga F on the women's side this year. So congratulations to those ladies as well. Here in the NWSL, we still have plenty of matches to be played. The semifinals are starting this Sunday. The first matchup is Portland against Gotham at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Portland hasn't played a match since October 15th when they lost to Angel City 1-5. And Gotham won the first meeting between these two sides earlier this year in league play 2-1. Portland won the second meeting 1-0. So it's 1-1 between these two sides. Neither one has really dominated play during regular season. But when you look at how Portland had played in their last match, getting absolutely crushed in a way we haven't seen them be crushed in years, to be quite frank. Gotham coming off a big win against North Carolina, that celebration, those results, the amount of goals they were able to put up against the Courage and their defense. How do you see this matchup playing out Sunday night?
This is a tough game to call because we really don't know what Portland team's going to show up. I think we know exactly what New York's going to bring. They're going to have their energy. They got their confidence. They're playing at a good level right now at the end of the year. And Portland, I mean, they had a lot of players go away on these international trip. They haven't been playing good. The thing is, it's the playoffs. They're a veteran team. They know what it takes to win, and that experience in those situations goes a long way. And they're at home, and that is a tough place to play. I think that I personally think that if they get a goal early, Portland could make this a rout. But I think it's going to be a close game, and I think they're just going to be able to feed off the energy of their crowd and get like a 2-1 win. But I could see it being a rout. But I just can't go against Portland, even though they haven't really looked well for that like a month almost. I don't think they've really played that well. And they've dropped some results that they shouldn't have, but maybe because they knew they were in. You know, they've qualified for a long time. But that's kind of how I see it. I think they're gonna have to match New York Gotham's energy early, and I think they'll be able to do that with their fans. I think they'll get the rhythm of the game. Like I said, if they get one early, that could be just like I could see that having a big problem for Gotham because then they're gonna have to chase the game, and you don't want to chase the game in Portland. But if they don't get one early, I think they're going to be able to ride it out and be their veteran players, and it's going to be a tight game. But I think they'll squeak one at the end.
Yeah, you can't really go against the Rose City in their own home. And I think even though I went with Gotham last week winning this one, I was really looking at the matchup against North Carolina and some of the numbers in there. It's hard to root against Williams, Purse, Esther, and Ryan in the attack for Gotham, right? But then you look at the goalkeeper. Mandy Hott did not play last year at all in the NWSL. She's only played 7 games this season for Gotham in goal. She's had 9 goals against. A very good goalkeeper. We saw her in big moments against the Courage come up big. But when you travel to Portland, have never played in a playoff match before, I think that's a very difficult position to put a goalkeeper in, especially against the front 5 of the Thorns. So that's going to be, in my opinion, the biggest Achilles heel for Gotham going to Portland this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. The experience in the playoffs is different than just experience playing regular season games. It's a whole different animal. And when you don't have it, like you can't get talked through it. You have to experience it yourself. You have to be there. You have to feel it. Because I remember when I was a rookie and we went into playoffs and, the veterans would kind of like, this is what it's going to be like. And then you get in and you're like, man, you didn't even get them close to explaining what it was going to be like, the emotions, the energy, the speed, the pace, everything picks up. And this one's to go to the final. So I mean, it's gonna each round of the playoffs picks up. So I think you're right. That's going to be their lack of experience in some places is going to be real telling in this matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And Portland is at full strength. Sophia Smith is back on and being really consistent. They have Christine Sinclair, Crystal Dunn, and then you look at the Gotham back line, and that's something we talked about going into the Courage matchup. But it was Krieger next to Lopez to start off that match, and they sub in Ellie. Jean, I think there's so many players on that back line who just haven't been consistent enough, haven't been able to get consistent minutes together, which again, you go against this Portland front five, they're going to be wanting to come back because of that result against Angel City and be a big threat. And that's where I see the Thorns really having a field day, is between that goalkeeper position and the center back role, having a time, honestly.
Yeah, and Portland's forwards are quite different than Carolina's forwards are,
Yeah.
especially when Caroline was out. This Portland team, if they can get at you and keep coming at you, they're so good, not just technically, but athletically, that just keeps wearing you down defensively. And then when it's the opportunity arises in the game, sometimes when we're able to get forward, we're just like, man, I'm exhausted. I just can't. I've been defending for 30 minutes. I've been defending for 15 minutes, and not just defending like using 80% of my strength because I'm a better athlete. Like I got to be at full on to match their full on, which is, I just think that's a problem when you face Portland and you like to use your backs to attack on the outside. You have to deal with their outside who like to attack and are physical. And then when it's a breakdown, they can make things happen so fast with Sinclair coming late in the middle, with Smith in the middle, and then with Weaver on the outside. They're electric getting forward. So like I think that's going to be a problem too for Gotham's backs, because they do like to kind of get forward. And if they get forward and there's a breakdown, it's going to be a problem. If Portland can stay on the front foot and keep them when those chances arise, are they too tired to get clean crosses in? Are they not even getting forward because they decided this was a better opportunity to get a little bit of rest for the next chance I have to defend? And I think that's going to be a little bit of a problem for Gotham too. But who knows? We'll see. It's the
Yeah,
playoffs.
these NWSL games always keep us on our toes. I always say that, but it's so true because I would have never predicted the Angel City score line. That decision day game, I think Angel City had the perfect game plan, which was make sure that this Portland's attack never sees the ball. So if Gotham can allow their talented forwards to live on the ball a lot longer, they might be able to squeak out a goal or two. But that's definitely something difficult to do in Portland. And we will see Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time which one of those sides will end up in the finals the following weekend. The second semifinal match is the Wave against OL Reign at 9:30 Eastern time. OL Reign and San Diego have matched up 4 times this season, and OL Reign has won every single one of those matches between Challenge Cup and between regular season play. The goal differential, 7-1. This Wave side has only scored 1 goal against OL Reign, and it is going to be taking place in San Diego. However, I think OL Reign has shown that they can shift things around, especially of late, with their talent in the attack, with what they've been able to do in the midfield, with Fishlock feeling herself as well. I think we could see OL Reign getting their 5th win of the season against the Wave.
Well, not now. You completely jinxed them.
Well, I'm just a podcaster.
No, sometimes you can look at records and you can look at things like that, but like I always tell players, matchups are huge, and you just don't know for some reason why some teams just have another team's number. Doesn't matter home, doesn't matter on the road, doesn't matter neutral site. And that's what I think happens with this OL Reign team in San Diego. I just think where certain matchups are, it just causes San Diego tons of problems. I
Yeah.
don't think OL Reign, and this is where those games, like, and we talked about our last game, Alana Cook, when you know you're playing against somebody that is supposed to be better than you, that sometimes gives you a tick up on your mental preparation and mental fortitude during the game. So, like, she's going to be matched up against Alex Morgan. If they're both on their A game, I take Alana Cook. I think she's a better athlete. She's a younger player. She has to do less in a sense that she doesn't have to put the ball in the back of the net. She just has to change some of Alex Morgan's thoughts and ideas and runs. And then, like you said, like Fishlock, they have veteran players who know how to play. They know they're located in really important parts of the field where they can maintain possession if they need to. They can play out wide if they need to, and
Mhm.
they can change the dynamic of the game throughout the game. And I think that's kind of what gives OL Reign a lot of times over San Diego the advantage. It's just the way they match up against each other. It's two really good teams. You know, you're going into San Diego. I think San Diego is going to win. I think this is the end of the run for Rapinoe and Krieger, and I think that's just the
Mm.
way it's going to play out. And I would like to see 1 and 2 play each other in the finals. I just think that'll be really interesting. And I think Jaden Shaw coming back from her first national team trip is going to be playing with a lot of confidence. I think Stoney's a great coach. I think San Diego is going to find this way this one game to figure it all out and put it together. And they've been playing. San Diego's a dangerous team because they can win not playing their best brand of soccer. I think that's what makes Stoney a really good coach. She can figure out how the game's going and what it needs and still get a result even when they don't play their best brand of soccer. So it's hard to count San Diego out of any game.
Yeah, no, I see that, and I think San Diego being a direct team has allowed them success. But OL Reign to me has a very solid back line in the way that the Wave have been able to get wins with those transition over at the top, find Alex Morgan, and success is against inconsistent back lines. And to me, OL Reign isn't that. Also, Alex Morgan missing that PK against Colombia this past week, crazy. Like, how do you hit the crossbar in those moments? It's like a repeat of the World Cup in so many ways for her. And I know going back into league play is a little bit different. I just don't think Alex Morgan is someone you can count on in that attack. And for the Wave to have Jaden Shaw, that's a good sign. I think you can throw in Mackenzie Doniak into that situation as well. She's been a threat. But I think Ola Rain has figured out and move things around. And it's credit to Harvey on that back line, pushing Cook and Barnes into a center back role. I like Phoebe McClernand, how she can get up and back for them defensively. And I think Megan Rapinoe has one more match. I think this is where she can potentially find a result. It has to be Krieger or Rapinoe in the final, right? You can't. One of them has to be there. And so for me, it's Rapinoe, and I think she can just give it one more. Rose Lavelle will probably have a little bit more than 40-30 minutes in this match as well. Yeah, Alex Morgan, she's the one for the Wave who, after this weekend, I'm a little concerned about where her head is, if that makes sense, after missing that PK.
I do.
I mean,
I
that was
understand.
crazy, Scotty, right?
I
Like,
understand. Look, I understand a little bit Rapino laughing because it was like, this is how it's going to end because it was over. Alex Morgan laughing the other day, like
yeah,
the national team just makes me upset.
that was crazy. I thought
It
about
could
you
have
when that
been maybe
happened.
it also comes right after, I don't know if everybody watched that show, watched and listened to the broadcast, but they were saying how Colombia for the week, their players were going to get $800. The U.S., because it was a top 20 team, if we win, making the thing was like 8,000. And if we would have beat them twice, that would have been another 10,000 and 10,000 on each game. That's if you made the roster. Like, people could have been going home with like 30 something $1,000 from that trip. Like, I would not be laughing. I would not be smiling if I missed. If I was on the field and she missed, I'd be like, yo, 30,000, like, just cost us 10 grand. Jesus, come on, man.
But she doesn't
Like,
need the 10 grand. Like, she's fine. What is she?
yeah, but some of the younger players do, and
Right,
like,
right.
or get your 10 grand and put it to charity. Then,
Mhm.
like you could do a lot of stuff with 10 grand. People could use 10 grand. And like you're laughing. To me, it's just she annoys me, and players on the team kind of annoy me at times. Sorry, but going back to the NWSL one,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be it's going to be the way they match up and set up their field. Like if I'm San Diego and Seattle's back line, OL Reign's back line's been so good, I might just sit Morgan up by herself and then have like two withdrawn winger midfielder kind of tucked in just to make that back line say, okay, who's coming and getting me? Who's going to come back here and mark me? Who's going to push forward? If they push forward now, Alex Morgan still has wheels. She still makes good diagonal runs. They can still play over the top if they need to. Does it bring Lavelle back too far? And she's not part of it. Or does now OL Reign say, okay, we got Lavelle. Let's let her float in the midfield. Now, Fishlock, what are you going to do? You're going to have to cover passing lanes. So you're not going to be always in the best position offensively for counterattacks. Then who's going to be marking her in the back? Like, I just really think the matchups are going to be, and then how the coaches go about making the matchups work for them. I think that's going to be the key because both teams have so many options to pick from, or
Mhm.
could be the star of the game because there's so many talented players on both of these teams.
Yeah, that's how we end up in these semifinals is the depth on both sides and how each one of these coaches has structured their roster throughout the season to get them to this point, to get through the World Cup, to get through these international windows, to be here where if there are injuries, we can sub players into different positions. So, both these matchups are great, but the San Diego OL Reign game I think is going to be extremely interesting just based off of how Alex Morgan has performed of late. So has Jaden Shaw. And then you look at Fishlock, Lavelle, and even Rapino out wide. Latsko as well. I think she's been super helpful for this team and hasn't been that shining star. Could be that one on Sunday.
The other cool thing is, I remember in the very beginning of the year, we were doing all the shows, but we were talking about San Diego and Stony, and like, she played three in the back. She played a 3-5-2. She played a 4-5-1. She played a box. Like, this, I think, is why Stony does the things that she does. And so when she gets into a situation like we've played OL Reign 4 times, we've tried 4 different things, we've lost 4 times. Here's the 5th game. This one is really, really important because we don't win, we're done, kind of a thing. So I think that's like what we said it early in the year, that how much we liked her because she understands how to coach throughout the entire year. You look at Carolina, by halfway through the year, we all knew what we were getting. I'm not saying it was bad soccer. I'm not saying anything like that, but like there was nothing different they could do. They couldn't throw anything different at us. This is how we play. This is what we're going to do. So like where teams kind of figured it out and then they sat or they did a low box or they pressured at, wherever their line of confrontation was, they changed that up. They did different things in their midfield and Carolina struggled with it and struggled to get results, especially down the end of the road. Well, here you take Stony and she's been throwing different lineups, different formations, different reasons for every time she plays a game. And now you get into a game where like, and we're all sitting there, and I would think Harvey's sitting there like, what are we about to see?
Right.
What are we going to get thrown at us this weekend? And now you're thinking, okay, I got to be prepared for this. So if I have to do this, do I switch into this formation? I just think that this is, you're right, the game that's going to be, we know we're going to get Portland and Gotham. And let's see who, it's a will of fruition, basically. And we're just going to see who wins out there. This game, man, this game could go and change every 15 minutes. There could be a different change to the lineup or change to the formation. And okay, we're going to run this and see if this works. And
Mhm.
I just think this game is going to be real, real interesting to watch how it plays out.
The tactical aspect of the second match is going to be way more indicative of the result than the first one for sure. So we have 2 semifinal matches happening on Sunday. The first one's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. The second one's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure to tune into the show next week. We'll be breaking down those 2 matchups heading into the final match next Sunday night. NWSL has some very good teams. The last 4 teams we were talking about are in great positions, especially with their head coaches. However, there are 4 opening jobs as of Tuesday morning that are up for grabs. Let's start with the Washington Spirit. Mark Parsons will not be returning for his second consecutive year with the Washington Spirit. He said himself that he was disappointed in not being able to return, but he speaks really highly of Michelle King and wishes them the best of luck. He's been successful in the NWSL in the past. This Spirit team, they finished in 8th place. It was a World Cup year. There was a lot of crazy stuff happening. But I think what we've learned from King throughout the year 2023 is she has such high expectations for everyone who comes into that club. So when you're looking for a new head coach to replace Parsons and what they will gain when they do replace them with Sanchez, Rodman, Hatch, Staub, just to name a few, what are you looking for?
So I think Washington is a little bit of a different, how do I explain it? Different puzzle to put together because I think she is trying to become global.
Right.
No doubt about it. So I don't think she just wants a coach. She wants a leader. She wants a sales, like someone that they can sell, the Spirit can sell. And that's just because when it went down, like Parsons, with his history and his background and what he's done around I was like, man, I couldn't believe that they got rid of him. And listen, even if they already knew they were going to get rid of him, business people are smart. Like the U.S. women's team right now looks like a complete debacle because we can't get a coach. And the men's team looked like it. And like any business where like your main position is not full, like who wants to do sponsorships? Who wants to work with you? Who wants and we read about Michelle Kang and everything she does and how she's making it like such a global business and sport, I think it's amazing. I just thought it was a weird firing at the time. Like, keep them on, keep everything look like it's, man, we're growing just the way we want it to. This makes me think she has somebody, but it's also somebody that is big. It's like a Pep Guardiola, a Jurgen Klopp, somebody big in the game.
Who is
Like,
that big though? Who could be that doesn't have a job right now that
that's the
big?
only thing. The only person I could think of is the English coach. That, like, to me is like,
But she's just said she's not leaving the
I understand.
Lionesses.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know who has that personality, that dynamic as a coach. That's what I'm like. Man, I couldn't believe Parsons was gone. Like, I
I
don't
know.
know who, because that's what it looks like. She's building this thing, like, because to me that's the job you would want. That's the number one job. If it whenever it's available, or if it's not available, that the Washington Spirit. That's with OL Reign or Olympic Lyon ties,
Right.
and this and what she wants and what she wants to be a part of and how big she wants to build the game and what she wants to do for women's soccer. I think that's the job in women's soccer. That's the
To
job to have.
Yeah, to me, I thought Parsons should have been given an extra year, and it kind of reads there must have been something not bad, but something that they disagreed on. Like they want to go in different directions. Rather, that's a business way. Like maybe they wanted Parsons to be more in the community in DC, pitching the team to different people and different companies, and he maybe wanted to just be about the X's and O's of the game. And I don't know a lot about starting a company, but I do know that when you are trying to grow a business, you want everything to look like it's steady in place. Like there's nothing that's weird or shifting around or there's any opening positions. So to me, it's odd that Kang would, the most important position really within this club is up for grabs. And like you said, I think there's somebody else that's going to fill that role really soon and fits everything that Kang wants to do to a T. I just honestly I have no idea who that could be because if we can't name a US soccer head coach like Washington Spirit and with their expectations, how are we going to name somebody who tops Parsons?
I agree. I totally agree. And it's like when you look at the places Parsons been,
Right.
leaves them, they're always in a really, really stable condition too. Like, look at Portland. Like, they go through a whole bunch, but for what he set there, that here we are, semifinals,
Yeah.
just like normal, just like we always do. And I think, 1 year does not is not he's not going to get it done in 1 year in Washington last year. It wasn't going to happen, especially after the year prior,
Right.
which was like whoever was there was got to be like on walking on eggshells. Maybe not Parsons because he wasn't a part of it. And sometimes you look at all the things that they do have there in Washington, and you got a lot of leaders, like people who have been in charge and like it their way.
Mhm.
Um, Mark, I always mess up his name, Kakirian or whatever, the Florida
Krikorian,
State guy. He's
the
there,
GM.
yeah. So he's there. Is he like? Were they butting heads? And yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
know. It
know.
just is like, man, I was like, that one blew me away. Blew me away that he wasn't, especially with openings available. Like, you almost, as a business, can we wait to the last minute so they already get their coaches and then we don't have to play against them when we fire them.
Yeah.
But now he's out there available, and he could be one of these coaches
He had
going.
championships in the NWSL before, and he left the league to coach the Netherlands. Didn't have the success that he probably thought he had. And he'd even said before maybe it wasn't the right decision to leave the NWSL, but coming back to the Spirit team seemed like a good, nice start. I don't think he's going to be the next US soccer head coach, but for me, it's something like why not
Well,
look
see,
into it,
I think
interview him?
that I think that is why it wasn't good in the Netherlands. I think he's a day to day with his
Yeah.
players, around the facilities. I think that's just who he is. And then you go and you coach international. And I don't personally think I could coach international. Like, hey guys, how is it this week? I'll see you in 5 months.
Right.
Like I want to be around players. I want to be coaching. I want to be on the field. I want to be doing drills. I want to be working on things. I want to be recovering. I want to be a part of all that. And the national team, international coaching is completely different. And then you don't even know who you always have available to you in the
Right.
sense of did they get hurt playing for their club? So I think that was where his mistake was, is thinking, oh yeah, I could do this. And I'm sure he didn't think it was the same, but like, wow, I really missed the day in and day out of the game
Yeah.
because I don't have it. So I think coming back was good. I thought the Spirit was a great place for him. I thought of what transpired and what's there and what their basically mission statement is. I was like, man, you got the perfect guy for you.
Yeah.
But now
Now we
I
don't.
guess I guess not.
Yeah, and I think Parsons too, or I guess in general, if you're taking an international job, you have to be really good at building relationships and reaching out to people daily when you're not having those day-to-day interactions with somebody. And I'm not saying Parsons isn't that guy because I've never been coached by him, but that's one position or one I guess characteristic that you need when you're coaching on the international stage. So we've got a
You
job
gotta
opening
love
in DC
and love traveling.
and you
You
love
gotta love
traveling.
because you got to go and watch all these players.
Yeah.
So like throughout the year, you're just scouting players of your own team, and
It's a
man,
lot. It's different.
yeah, it's totally
Totally
different.
different.
Totally different. Yeah.
So Washington has a job vacancy, and so does Racing Louisville. Kim Bjorkergen will not return for the 2024 season with Racing. There was a lot of internationals that he brought in this season, and I don't think there's as much money to push around for the next head coach to change things around. The majority of this squad, I think, is solidified just based off of
I'll
what
coach
Bjorkergen did
Louisville.
in the past. What'd you say?
I'll coach Louisville. I like Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, the training facilities are beautiful.
Yep.
They've got a young side with a lot of youth, with international prospects for the U.S. team. You got Savannah or DeMello, and then you have Howell playing in the midfield. So there's a lot to build. And I think it was the good move to move on from Bjorkergen. Weren't able to get it done really and ever push it over the edge with him. But who are you looking for to really coach this racing and mixed bag of players?
No, really, me.
Really? Let's hear why.
Well, I'm just kidding. I think what they need is somebody that coaches like me. I don't think that Bjorklund was really a bad coach, but he had his own style. He was very reserved on the sidelines. I've actually watched him a couple times this year live because I have family in Louisville. Like I said, that's why I say I love the facility. The city itself is a hard city. It's a tough city. They're working class people, man. So you got to have a coach in there that has, and they have the players, the Carson Pickett's, the DeMellos, the Jaylene Howes, the Ursigs. Like they have a great base for players for what they need to do. They need to say, listen, we might not be the most skillful team, but no one's going to outwork us. No one's going to out hustle us. No one's going to try to play at a faster pace. And they have the players to do that. I think sometimes he coached and tried to make it too pretty of a game. And that team needs to be more grit and hustle and tactical awareness and the ability to work and play for each other. And I think they have the players to do that. And they need a coach that comes in and helps them find that way of the game. You can't always be the most pretty team on the field, but you can still get a lot of results and you can win championships with teams like that.
Yeah, I think the next coach who comes in needs to start with just team building. Everyone needs to get to know each other. There's way too much gaps this year for international break, World Cups, where these players just were so consistently not with one another. And that really played out towards the end of the year for Racing Louisville. And I think honestly was their biggest Achilles heel. I saw what Bjorkergen was trying to build with players from all over the place, playing a different style, not fitting to that NWSL mold that we consistently see, but we just didn't have enough time together. So I think whoever comes to racing has to have like a team first mentality. Let's get to know each other. What are each other's strengths on and off the field? Let's hang out. Let's spend time. And that will certainly play out on the field. I think that's what Portland has to the advantage of most teams in the league. A lot of these players had been playing in club together for so long. And that's why we see so much consistency throughout the year is there's already built relationships.
Yeah, he was in a sense trying to build a Portland, and I'm not saying played the exact same way, but the thing was that Parsons built that in. So when a new player comes in, well, really they just pick players they know will fit the mold of what they've created. And then for me, it's like there's only one new player, so I'm like, hey, because I've joined teams that were already really good, and you get there and they're like, "This is how we do it. Don't be different than you are, but how do you fit what we're doing?" And I think that's what helps Portland is they just keep putting pieces into what they already have built. He was trying to build it, and you're making a big trade when the beginning of the year we get Fox goes over to Carolina and two new players come here, and you got all these new players, and you're right, international break. And like I said, I never saw him in training, but on the sidelines, he was super reserved. He was super, and when you're building it, man, you're on this different pace. It has to happen faster. It has to
Yeah,
happen. There's got to be more intensity to it. There's got to be more where everybody's being held accountable. No one can be doing anything different. It's got to be a certain way. It's got to be like, oh, it's a water break. Sprint to the water, sprint back. Like everything has to be on like double time. And I don't know that. Not saying what he was building was wrong. It was because he does have, I mean, quality players. You go down their roster, they have a really good team. But I don't think they ever feel like they all were like, well, I do it my way and I do it my way. Instead of
right.
doing it, we do it our way. You're just a piece to our way. They
Yeah,
were all doing it their own separate ways. And that's why I think when we were looking at the teams that are going to make it, I was like, I don't think he understands his team enough to get the right pieces out there to make it into the playoffs. And it kind of they kept falling short at the very end.
and they relied too heavily on Nadia Nadim coming back from her ACL. That was like the consistent thing we heard from Bjorkgren was when Nadia Nadim returns, she can do this, and this, and she's our leader, blah, blah, blah. She didn't play the majority of the season. There needs to be other people that you're really counting on who have been there from the beginning of the year to get the results in this season. So this is a coaching change that I think will be really helpful for Racing Louisville. And they seem to have the pieces, but they need somebody who can be that glue for the 2024 year. Houston Dash moved on from Sam Lady earlier in the season. This was a firing that everyone should have seen coming. They had so many goal scorers this year, and they only scored 16 goals. I mean, come on, 16 goals in 22 matches. That's just like slightly embarrassing, especially when you get Ordonez, who came off of a highlight rookie year with the Courage. Now she gets to be in a town where she's comfortable. She wants to be there. You can't get her scoring goals. Houston needs a coach who can kind of turn over a lot of things. I think Houston just hasn't had consistency in so many seasons that it's starting to kind of show. And there are cracks within their system, especially with their style of play. Like, I just think there was a lot of inconsistency. This was the team I didn't see as consistent throughout the year of 2023. But whenever I did catch them, I was always just so confused by their tactics. I just didn't think he was doing what he should have been doing with these players.
I don't know there was tactics when I watched
Yeah,
Houston.
honestly.
I liked Houston like as players. They always they were always going to give you 100%. They were gonna give their best effort to win, and I think that's you're right. They also went out there like, and they were totally confused. They just knew they were going to play hard. They
Yeah.
really didn't know how they were going to play, what they were trying to do, and you bring over Ordonez, and you better scout players when you bring them over. She scored like almost all of her goals for Carolina her
There's like
rookie year.
11 goals for her last
Yeah, but
year.
they were free kicks, they were headers, they were tap ins. Like nothing really got. She was kind of like, and please, fans, don't get me wrong. She was like a Holland. They didn't play through her. They didn't play to her. They just like, okay, we're done. Put it in the back of the net,
Yeah,
and she
lobbed it.
did. And she got a lot of goals in a stretch period where they came at the very end of games. So like teams were tired. Now it's free kicks. She's a big tall girl. Like, but when I watched Houston play, they like tried to play her like she was Harry Kane, and they were gonna play in, then play back out. And like she's not that type of player. She doesn't
She
do
doesn't
that
want the
well at
ball at her
all.
feet for too long.
Correct. She doesn't really want the ball until, oh, I'm six
She's
yards
in the
from goal.
six.
Yeah, give it to me now. I'll put it in. But that's another team that has a lot of players. The other thing is in the US that we lose sight of in a sense is like I coach Houston. I'm going to coach probably completely different styles of play home and away just because of the conditions. Like Carolina in the middle of the summer can coach a totally different way. They can sit the first half if they want because it's so hot and humid that your body just wears down. When I played, we used to play Charleston every year. And we would always go into Charleston and say, okay, we have two choices. We can give everything we got in the first half, try to get up 3-0, and then just sit on our lead, or we can sit the first half and then give everything we got in the second half because it was just too humid, too hot to play a
Mhm.
full 90 at full blast. And that's kind of like you watch Houston, and they're a lot of times at home, they're a team of two halves. They're usually bad in one half and really good in the next half, or good in the first half, bad in the second half, and they kind of die down. I would get my teams fit. I would get them to understand the advantage you have in Houston and then where we're going to play and say, oh, we're going to a colder place, a nicer place. Hey, we're going to actually ramp it up a little bit and see if they can run with us and play with us because they have a lot of good ability. They have a lot of good players. And like I said, you knew their work rate was going to be top notch when you watched them play. They just were completely disorganized and had really no identity and no way of playing game in or game out. Like
Yeah.
that's why they were that hit or miss. Like they could beat anybody and they could lose to anybody, and they could lose to them in like the same weekend.
Right. What was the girl that came over from USC? She was a Gamecock and she had a really high ceiling and I thought she was really underutilized. They almost tried to use her as a utility player. Ryan Garris. Garris. She
Yes.
was like she's in the right system, she can excel. And I believe that whoever comes to Houston has to be able to use her a lot better and not make Schmidt be this anchor. And she's way too old to be asked to do the things she was asked to do in 2023. So I think like you said, there's really good pieces in Houston and they're young, like Racing Louisville. But I think they just need somebody in there who will talk to them, figure out what they want, how they can change things around for 24.
Yeah, and there were certain players that you would be like, wait, where's she playing today? She was on the right last time. Now
Right.
she's on the left. Like they move players around. Like no one ever got like, and playing like even if I'm Schmidt, like, well, who's going to be in front of me and where are they going to be and how? Like you're
Right.
preparing all week, and it's a lot easier when you know this player is going to be here. Here's their tendencies. Here's their speed compared to my speed. Here's how they play out of the back. Here's their first look. Like you get used to each other. So
Yeah.
like they kept changing things around. I could only imagine being out there and like I don't know what the hell's going on. Like I can't figure out who I'm playing with, when I'm playing with them,
Yeah. Too much.
and
Too
it
much.
was like you could see that one coming, and I think they just said we're going to let this one just ride out and just start over next year.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you can understand that. Like let's just as long as there's a good dialogue with the players and everything, then I think they can handle it and come back this year and say okay, But I would have dialogue into that with them and being like, okay, we got a good team. Who do you want? Here's some options. What do we want? Like
Right.
players you like that, and then you're like now when it's going downhill, like you can have that team meeting and said, why are we not playing? This is the guy you wanted. This is who or the lady you wanted. This is the person you wanted. Let's go. Like you asked for this. We're doing what we best we can for you guys. We agree. Blah blah. Blah. We're all in this together, kind of a thing. So I would think Houston needs to kind of look at it. They made a big change on the men's side, so no reason they can't do it on the women's side too.
Yeah, no doubt. And Chicago's a side too that we could have seen coming from a mile away. Chris Petroselli fired after his second year, completely new ownership heading into 24. We expect Mallory Swanson to be back and playing. A tough year for Petroselli. I think with the old ownership, he wasn't able to go out and get players that he needed, especially a true nine, which resulted in them not getting the goals that they wanted. Then they had players like Tierna Davidson coming back and even Sharples coming back, and they're still new at the beginning of the year, getting back into their ways after tearing their ACLs. So with new ownership, Swanson coming back, to me, this was a no-brainer to move on from Petroselli to start things completely fresh. A debacle year, similar to the way that Gotham had a terrible year in 2022. Chicago just needs a completely new look, and I hope that this ownership can get it right for them.
I think the first move they did, and again, it's nothing against Petroselli. He just he'd have to be like the champion to
Yeah,
stay basically because this is a new ownership and what they were walking into was just basically a firestorm.
right.
So let's clean house. Let's do it the way we wanted to. And I think that's the best move they're making is because last year Chicago's like I just felt sorry for that entire organization in a sense.
So
The
sorry.
players, the coaching staff, like they couldn't do anything. They just and that's just based on the rules of the league. So then we get new owners and everything comes in and that's great. And they're right. Let's make it our team. We can't get rid of all the players or anything, but we're going to get rid of staff, we're going to get rid of front office, we're going to do this, and we're going to make it the way we want it to. And then if it fails, it is totally 100% on us. And that's what I like about what Chicago's doing.
Yeah,
And Chicago to me is a city that if you have Chicago in your pro teams, you got a good city. It's a good city to have and base pro teams around and have a league that has a Chicago team. So you always, as a league and as a fan, want Chicago teams to do well. For me, I want the Bears to win the Super Bowl, but even for the NFL, it's good when the Bears are good.
right.
Not very often, but when the New York teams are good, it's good for these big cities, these big markets. It's good for us to have teams in them and then for them to perform well.
Yeah, no doubt. We don't need this Red Star side to kind of redo what the Bears are doing right now in Chicago. We need a fresh slate, do what the Chiefs are maybe doing in Kansas City. I don't know. Even them, though, they've had a few rough couple games in their last few games. But let's keep it going because I want to get in all these changes. Now we're into these two teams that have made some permanent changes. Kansas City Current hires the former U.S. women's national team head coach, Vlatko Andonovski. Andonovski has spent the last 20 plus years or so making Kansas City his hometown. He's raised his family there. He's been involved in the youth levels there. He's been in the NWSL. The last time he coached in it was in 2019, had success, which led to that national team head coaching job that didn't have much success. Womp womp. But Andonovski's a great guy. I think he's going to do a good job. For him, he's a day-to-day guy. He wants to be around those players consistently. I think he sees Kansas City as his home, and he's going to put everything that he can into making that club and that city, the soccer city that they are building there, that beautiful stadium he gets to play at. There's just going to be so many eyes on Kansas City in 24 because of what they're doing with the new stadium. The ownership always draws eyes as well. So I think this is a really good move for Kansas City. And he has a friendship with the ownership. And that's always, I think, a good thing sometimes. I'm interested to see, like how
It's a
that
good
all plays out.
start.
What'd you
it's
say?
good. It's good when that's how it starts. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's good
mean?
exactly, but they're good old Midwestern people, right? Like, they'll have
Yeah, yeah,
they'll have
yeah.
a good
I
year.
think this is a great hiring, to be
Yeah.
honest. I really do. Yeah, he's been in Kansas City. He's built Kansas City. I think you're talking about the Longs. Is that
Yeah, the Longs.
and
Chris and
right? His
Lindsay.
his because I think their daughter just committed to Duke, so we'll be able to see her.
Yeah, they've
I
got
think
talented athlete
but I
kids.
think like he's coached her growing up and stuff like that, and he's been there and he's built the youth league. He did indoor soccer. He did women's soccer. So I think this is a good hiring, and I also think, and I know we'll probably touch on it a little bit, but everybody blamed Andonovski for the World Cup. Everybody. We said he didn't do it, and he probably didn't do a good enough job, and we weren't prepared. And we looked great against Colombia that first game, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't coaching. You know what I mean? Sometimes we got to put blame on the players. They didn't show up. They didn't have a good World Cup. I think this is a good coach. I think he is not an international coach. I think that's not his game. You're right. He likes to be in the day to day. He likes to know his league. He likes to know the team he's playing against. International, you don't know which team's getting thrown out there. They're changing it up in the World Cup. They're changing different formation and different styles because of the length of the tournament. I think this is going to be a good signing. I think this is good for Kansas City. He's home. He's comfortable. He doesn't have to buy a new house. He doesn't have to move. He knows his surroundings. I think this is a good and actually I am cheering for him because I think he was, and again, I don't think he did a great job at the World Cup, but he was the scapegoat. There was a
Yeah.
lot of problems at the World Cup that are being brushed under the table. I mean, brushed under the carpet, and we're just blaming Andonovski for everything.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the last two international games, 4 international games, I thought we looked exactly the same. So like, I don't think you can blame him. I don't think you can blame him for all of it. Like some
No.
of the players need to go, new players need to come in, and by the look of it, who's making these calls? Was he even making some of the calls for the World Cup team? I would really like to know because we just brought the same exact bunch of players, except for a couple new ones, to these international friendlies. Why do I need to see players I don't need to see in the World Cup, in the next World Cup or the next Olympics? Some of
Yeah.
them need to go. They didn't do it. That's part of it. You don't do your job good enough, you get fired. I don't know what to tell you. And we just keep recycling the same players and the same group of players. So I'm cheering for him to do good in Kansas City because I think we put too much of the scapegoat on him for the World Cup
Yeah.
failures. He
No,
was a part 100%. but he wasn't the only thing. And
No,
and all those players that came out right after, like you should have been fighting harder going in if you knew we weren't prepared.
right.
Roy Keane left Ireland before the World Cup because they weren't prepared to play and he wasn't going to be a part of it. He
Yeah.
said what he had to say. He made his statements and there nothing happened and he went home. And that, like, good God, that's like he didn't play in the World Cup for his country because he thought there was a bigger thing to fight for. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm completely cheering for Andonovski as well. I think he's a good coach. I think there's a lot of things he could have said after the World Cup that he chose not to, which shows he's a class act. He wants to see soccer be successful here in the States. He loves the NWSL. And I think, with their ownership, I think the Longs have done a great job in Kansas City and built something really spectacular. And I was kind of kidding, but I do really think that relationship is going to be good for Kansas City and like what they're building off the field as well. Andonovski has that name. We all know who he is, and that's going to draw eyes, especially this season, to them this year. Plus, Kansas City's getting back a lot of injured players, and that'll be a good thing for him.
Plus, they're going to become obviously Mahomes is friends with Taylor Swift now, and she'll
Oh my
be a season
gosh.
ticket holder. And they'll be just like Kansas City. Like I think they're 4-0 when she shows up to games. They'll be 100%. Everybody will be there. Kansas City will be packed. What did I think we had just read that Taylor Swift is giving a free concert for the season ticket holders of the Kansas City
Shut
Chiefs.
up. I did not read that. Really?
I'm pretty sure. Like, come
That's
on.
crazy.
Come on.
I could be a
I
season
know.
ticket
Why
holder. Where
Emmy's
do
gonna
I sign
somehow
up?
go. Emmy's a Kansas City Chief fan. She loved Mahomes when she first started watching him, so she's always been a Kansas City Chief. Now she's all psyched because Taylor Swift's a Chief fan too.
Well, now there's like drama with her publicist or with Travis Kelce's publicist posting a weird Instagram this weekend. Did you see about that? Like she put a clown head over Taylor's face when she was posting other pictures. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get to the
Oh
bottom of that.
snap!
I
Uh
know
oh,
she's gonna I don't know, will she lose her job for
gonna
that?
ruin your prediction. That guy's
What?
gonna ruin. That publicist is gonna ruin your prediction of marriage.
I know. No, she's ruining her career is what she's doing. Crazy. Who does that? She's Taylor Swift. Everyone calls her
I
mother,
miss
and
Taylor
she really
Swift.
is. Okay, we're moving on because I want to get to our yellow pennies too. Angel City has reports coming out that Becky Tweed will be hired as the head coach for 2024. I think we beat this one to death throughout this podcast. She should be the head coach. She's done great
100%.
things. Second season with Angel City in the playoffs. They had a complete change around of their season once she came into the fold. And, I think she was there from the beginning. Things would be a little different for Angel City. So, yeah, I think this would be a great hiring for LA.
Yeah, my only thing with this one is what is just announce it.
I
Like
know.
what's like it can't be like, ooh, we're gonna have a secret announcement. Like if you don't hire her, man, do you look dumb.
Yeah, I agree with
Or
that.
could it possibly be that Michelle Kang is offered her
More money?
and that's yeah, is that who Michelle Kang wants? Because like I could see Michelle Kang also wanting a woman to be the face of this international business. I could see that over Parsons too. I don't know, but I'm just saying what she did this year I thought was really good. I will say this just real quick.
Okay.
How how is Sean Nahas not up as one of the coach of the years? Like that's the only thing I just can't understand.
Because they didn't finish the season probably the way the league would have liked them to finish the season?
Right. Only thing I'm saying is he won the Challenge Cup.
Mhm.
He um, had a better record than the only one who had a better record is San Diego Wave. They had a better record. He had a better record than the Gotham. He had a better record than Angel City. And the Gotham knocked them out, but Angel City got knocked out the same round as them. Like again, I don't understand. That's also I think it's a little bit weird the awards only because I don't understand why the fans are voting for them.
Yeah. Wait, let me just read the awards real quick because maybe this is something we can dive into after these awards get announced, who the winners are. So the MVP are Sam Coffey, Dabinia, Naomi Girma, Caroline, and Sophia Smith. Let me make sure this is correct. Yeah. This came
That's
out on
right.
October 24th. Defender of the Year, Girma, Sarah Gordon, Ali Krieger, Kaylee Kurt, Sam Staub. Goalkeepers of the Year, Jane Campbell, Katie Lunn, Kaylin Sheridan. I agree with that. Rookie of the year, Messiah Bright, Jenna Neiswanger, Alyssa Thompson. No, I think it should have been Paige Matera from Washington, personally. And then the coach of the years are Juan Carlos Amoros at Gotham, Casey Stoney in San Diego, and Becky Tweed in Los Angeles. Who would you have taken out for Nejas?
I would have took Tweed out, and like I said, but the only reason is because she only coached
Oh,
half the year.
yeah.
Like that to me is like, and again, I said I thought those were the two best coaches throughout the year with what they had. Sean had like the
Mhm.
youngest roster in the league. They picked him to come in last. He came in third. He, won the Challenge Cup. Like, it's just to me is like, well, actually, when I saw it, I was like, man, did he rub somebody the wrong way or something? He must have said something he wasn't supposed to to somebody, because it just doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah, I could
to
see
me,
that.
that he wouldn't be on there. He had a better record than two of them.
Yeah.
He, won the Challenge Cup. He not only had a better record, he finished higher than them. Like that to me is just like, I just thought it was weird, and agreed. Like, there was something on there like Alyssa Thompson, for what? Not that she had a bad year or anything, but like, there's other players that did things bigger than she did. Now, granted, they were on different teams and whatever. Or to me, like, I wouldn't have Kurtz on there as defender of the year either. She is a defender on a good back line with a good goalie.
Mhm.
And I know they had 10 shutouts and stuff like that, but like, some of those other girls is like, who do you want in this situation? You're never picking Kurtz over any of them.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple other defenders in the league that, man, they're like, they're the reason. They're the reason their teams are defending as good as they are.
Yeah.
Kurtz is a byproduct of the entire team, kind
Emily
of a thing.
Madrill, I would have maybe put her in there over Kurt.
Yeah, and then again, like I said, like, fans, come on, fans,
Yeah.
like the one year, like, Yao Ming was the highest voted All-Star, and because all of China voted for him. Like, it's just, to me, is like, come on, there's a lot of fans that are only cheering and voting for their team. Like, should be like the truth of what the media, the coaches, the players. Like, I played an indoor, and to make an All-Star team, the coaches and the players voted. That's it. That's it. I thought it was so cool. Like that, your peers picked you to play.
Yeah.
Your peers picked you to play in this. They thought this is who the league itself thought was the best players. To me, it's like when the fans vote. Like, I don't know, my computer whiz. Did I vote 100,000 times? You know what I mean? Like, and do I even know the game? There's a lot. Like, I've been to games. It's the hardest part of going to games is sitting in the stands listening to the knuckleheads around me.
Yeah. I know. I understand it from that standpoint, and I guess you can't put that much into it or think too much about it because maybe the fans are involved. But the NWSL wants their fans to be involved in this league a lot.
Maybe
So
say,
I
okay,
see it
here's
from that
you're gonna
standpoint.
get a quarter of the vote.
Yeah.
That's all you get as a percentage. The players will vote. That's going to be 50% of the vote. So now you're at 65. And then the GMs and the coaches will vote, and that's the rest. Like,
Right.
but it seems to me is like it's just like anybody can vote, and
Here we are.
yeah, like
Yeah. Well, you mentioned China, Scotty, and that's going to lead us into our two yellow pennies of the week. Inter Miami and Messi have canceled their trip to China just 3 days before leaving. I said it, you would never catch me dead on a plane headed to China. And Messi and Inter Miami made a very good decision based on world events, what is happening across, even look at what's happening in Israel and Pakistan right now. Like, why are we headed to China? Let's stay in Europe. Let's stay in the States and just don't go there. I think it's that simple, honestly.
I would bet you it's almost as simple as Messi said. Listen, I played in Europe, and now I'm in the U.S., but I also had a World Cup that was in the winter because it's too hot in Qatar to do it in the summer. So I haven't had a rest in like a year and a half, and I don't want to go anywhere.
Well, also
It's good to
don't you think it's
because
messy too, knowing he'd have like I don't know, China, you're Messi, everybody in the world knows who you
oh
are.
god,
Like,
I would have liked to just seen the crowds,
right.
like James Harden gets a humongous crowd when he goes to China. He does deals, all these sneaker companies and whatever, they all have certain players do China. Ronaldo goes to China all the time with Nike and stuff. I would just love to have seen some of these MLS kids like, what? is that, I mean, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people would be at like each event. Like it would be crazy. But agreed, I wouldn't go right now. The world is too chaotic, too crazy. And if I was Messi, I'd be like, man, can I just play with my kids?
Yeah.
Can I just hang out on the couch?
It's
The
winter in
season's gonna
Miami.
start
Let
back
me
up.
live.
Yes, that's why I came here. I'm not gonna go to Barcelona on loan. I just need a breather. And China, I'm not gonna be able to breathe ever.
No, absolutely. And to your point with like I'm not going to Barcelona on loan, that makes him so human cuz even like we all need breaks and we think sometimes, okay, where's Messi going next? Where is he going to play? Blah 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 blah. Like this guy's in his now mid 30s. Let him live his life. Let him enjoy life, honestly, and the money he's made, the success he's had, and like kind of live off what he's gained from MLS. I think it's smart of him to just take a break. He doesn't always have to be on top. We all don't always have to be on top 24/7.
I,
It's
I just want him to get a break so that he can come back as happy as he was this year and kill it for a
yeah.
full season, so we can watch a full season of him. Good
Yeah,
God.
we need a full season of Messi in MLS. That'll be just so fun, honestly. I'm really interested to see how he plays in 2024. And honestly, like that season starts before we know it. All right, second yellow penny of the week is Luis Rubiales has been banned from all football related activities for 3 years by FIFA. To remind fans, Rubiales was the former president of Spain soccer. He was high up in Spanish soccer and kissed one of the Spanish players on the mouth when they
Hermosa.
won the World Cup. Sorry?
Jenny Hermosa.
Yeah, Hermosa. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Kissed her on the lips, and she said it wasn't consensual. There was this whole thing. We covered it on the show. 3 years? Come on, man. What is 3 freaking years to soccer? Into this man's life. That's a vacation for the amount of money that he's probably made throughout his career. It's silly and FIFA should be embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even get a full sight. Like, if it
Right.
worked out by dates, he'll be back for the next World Cup.
I know. It's ridiculous.
it's,
Like
it's shocking. It is shocking. It is shocking.
his
FIFA
mom
is,
can stop starving herself because I think this is a fair like for her, she can probably
it
be happy
worked.
with it.
It
Yeah, it
worked.
worked. Whatever. I just think it's honestly, you think like things are going good in women's sports and especially in this story after the World Cup. And then 3 years just seems so I don't know, it's just super disappointing, honestly. Like what he did was crazy.
It's shocking. It is shocking. It is completely shocking. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
They don't do anything like they probably, I don't know how much the federation in Spain makes for FIFA or whatever, but like that they're always trying to help each other to keep their money in their pockets. Like we just played Colombia and like those girls were here for a full week. They had to fly coach going back and forth from they had like 11-hour layovers, 3 different trips going to New Zealand and Australia. Like we were on a chartered flight, but like they made $800 for the week. Like they made, I think, what was it, like $60 a day. And that wasn't per diem. That was like that's what they made to play us, Colombia, these women like. And we're making we could have made 30 something thousand for the week as a player. Like to me, it's just like I understand we fought for our rights, but like I think we all need to help each other. It's just gonna make the whole game better. Like
Yeah.
we need to fight for Colombia, Spain needs to fight for Italy, Italy needs to fight for England, England needs to. There are certain teams that carry a little bit more weight. Throw your weight, start throwing your weight around.
Yeah.
Start throwing it around and help the smaller countries. It's only going to be better. It's what it's going to do is it's going to make us see better players, which means there's going to be better leagues. The leagues are going to then have to pay players more money, and the players are going to make more money. You throw your weight around, it'll come back to you. You'll enjoy the rewards for what you do.
Yeah. And I think also like Rubiales, let's say he comes back in 3 years, he's taking the position away from somebody who's probably way more deserving of that role and who wants to better women's soccer. Like I think Rubiales has made it pretty clear he's not in it for the growth of the game. He's in it because he's selfishly in it. And yeah, that makes me sad is like somebody's gonna lose out on an opportunity because this, you know what, only was banned 3 years from FIFA
Yeah.
international and club play. It's crazy. I don't know. But yeah, Inter Miami and Messi not going to China. That's probably a great thing. We've got semifinals coming up this upcoming weekend. A lot of coaching changes in NWSL to keep your eyes on. We will be back next Wednesday with a recap of the semifinals. We'll be previewing the final match that's happening in San Diego on November 11th and anything that might pop up this week in the world of soccer in the States. So make sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at SFTP Pod. And please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. It makes our show go out to more people. We would really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your Halloween, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday.
Have a great week.